Heather and Elizabeth, you guys are all set?
Yeah,
David?
you're all set.
Good evening, folks. Going to call the meeting order here at 1 Academy Street on Tuesday, June 1st at 7 p.m. Please note that we are by Zoom for the public, and please note that you're being recorded, and when you ask to speak, please know that everybody on Zoom can hear your background. So please keep muted if you're not speaking. First item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda review. Need personnel under executive. That's it. Mark, anything?
No additions? Early?
No. Nicole?
No, thank you.
Ed?
Not at this time.
David? You'll be back here, copy.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Here, motion to approve the minutes from May 25th, regular meeting by Zoom.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of May 25th, 2021 meeting by Zoom.
You got a second on that?
Now a second.
All right, any other discussion?
There was one correction that Nicole had emailed you this morning, and that is in the set that you have.
Okay, perfect, thank you. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it.
I wanna just say I abstained because I wasn't here.
Okay, yep.
Just note that you have
But in the future, you can read the minutes.
Oh, I did read.
And then you
Yeah.
can still hold it because you've read them, so. But nothing that matters. Public comment, anybody got anything to add under public comment that's not on the agenda?
Yes,
You do.
yes, you
Okay.
want me to read it? Because it went to Kathy and David from Ross.
Oh, sure, you can read it, yeah.
Okay, good morning Kathy and David. Could you please read this email to the select board during public comment? I am requesting the select board have the village police department patrol Route 7 from Johns Bridge South heavily for speeders. There are many vehicles, mostly the same frequent flyers, driving very fast and erratically through that section more and more every day. I have offered my driveway many times for them to set up radar and leave this as an open invitation. Many of these vehicles are large pickups that are not only driving fast, but irresponsibly loud, and it would be good to have a police presence. Excuse me, there are also many cars that frequent our area that don't look as though they should even be on the road. Many of my neighbors have talked with me about this lately and also feel that things are not getting patrolled and the vehicles are getting worse. Thanks for listening, Ross LeRoy.
Thank you. Anything else under public comment? I'd like to just welcome Heather, our new administrative assistant, aboard here. Take her minutes and taking that position. Law enforcement, Chief Stale report. Do you have a copy of that in here, David?
No, you didn't send me one.
No report, Chief? I can't hear him.
Hold on.
Hold on a second.
Hold on.
I can't hear you. Can you say the citations again?
I'm sorry, what?
Can you say the citations again, the numbers? You
Oh,
said,
okay, I'm sorry. So for the tickets for the month, we had 14 warnings issued with 15 offenses attached to those 14. We had 2 motor vehicle citations issued for the month for a total of $325 in fines. Those 2 tickets were for using a portable electronic device and also for speeding.
so you only wrote 2 tickets out of all that? Is that what you're saying?
2 motor vehicle violations, and we also wrote 14 warnings with 15 violations for each of those warnings.
Okay.
Hey, David, just a question. Of the warnings, how many were for speeding? Do you know?
For speeding, just bear with me one second.
Yep.
Seven for speeding.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else on the report, David?
We had a couple things, just points of interest for the police department for the month. We've been conducting the property watches at the Public Works Garage and also the Town Hall. We do those every single night. They're pre-scheduled. We have been down a full-time officer for approximately a month and a half. We were just able to fill that full-time position with one of our part-time officers, Officer Kelb, and he'll be starting in the next couple of weeks, which should put us back up to full staffing. We've also started doing boat patrols off of the town of Swanton as part of a grant that we received from the federal government. And we'll be out there probably until the end of September doing recreational enforcement and boating safety, as well as drug interdiction on the lake.
Being down that officer for the month and a half, that shouldn't have no effect on the town hours because that's contracted, correct?
It didn't affect it at all, just our overall staffing. We were down one full-time officer, but it in no way affected the contract at all. We were more than able to adequately staff that.
Yep.
Okay.
Hey, how did you guys make out on any of the rail trail or Lamoille Valley Trail, kind of taking a look at that? Did you see anything?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
After our meeting, we talked about the rail trail, kind of addressing some of the motor vehicles over there. Did you guys have a chance to take a look at that at all?
We have done a couple stops, not so much on the rail trail, mostly in the area of Robin Hood Drive. I actually stopped one the other day for driving, and I spoke with the operator. He wasn't aware. He thought he was able to ride down the side of the road. But for the most part, we haven't had too many violations, at least that I've seen on the day shift. I could leave it to Sergeant Parra to fill you in on any type of nighttime activity they've been having. But as far as days go, we really haven't been getting too many complaints. But unfortunately, I think with the summer coming up, and we're anticipating a very busy summer pretty much across the board in both Swanton and the surrounding areas, we will probably see an uptick in that.
Okay.
Is your officer, who's gonna do the enforcement in this boating with that funding you guys? Is that gonna be someone from your department?
We actually, all officers have been trained to man the boat, and it's an extra detail that we do. We received grant funding from the federal government under Operation Stone Garden, and we basically, with the funding that we have, we're able to put out a patrol boat at least 2 times a week, and those are usually manned by 2 of our part-time officers, and they're basically just assigned to that unit, and that's what they've been working on. That's what we'll work on for the summer, pretty much from May all the way up to September. We also have other officers from other communities that participate in this grant funding that can basically hop on board the boat and help us with those details as well. And this is all funded through grant funding. It's no extra cost to the village or town at all.
Okay. I'm just gonna lay it out there. I asked for all 3 of you to come on tonight. We got some serious speeding issues, traffic issues in the town, and we've had numerous conversations with Chief Stell about these issues. I'm not seeing nothing as far as patrols out there helping with these issues. I called last week about what motorcycles, ride wheelies up in my area. Cruiser went by at about 50 miles an hour and never saw him again. So I'm not sure what kind of monitoring the area that's called, but never saw him again. I saw him go by once about an hour after the incident. I would think when there's an incident, you would be sitting down the road for 20 minutes, half an hour, monitoring the area, but I never saw anybody around. Just pretty discouraged. I don't know what you guys have for an explanation, but I'd like to hear something. Okay, we just read another issue with someone over here on Route 7 complaining about speeding. And who's on the town tonight? Is the car on for the town?
I'm actually not sure. I believe it may be Corporal Gagne maybe, or Officer
Yeah.
Cooper.
Yeah. So Gagne's on for the town tonight. On the way through, I just watched him sitting in front of the bus station over here. doing traffic direction this way. I'm not sure what kind of monitoring that is at 6:45 in the village of the town roads.
I believe that area is actually in the town. If he's at the bus station right there, I believe that is actually in the town. I can't speak, I'm not there, so I'm not sure which way he's running the traffic.
When the car's pointing towards the village, I'm assuming you're catching speeders coming out of the village. I don't call that monitoring town roads, I'm sorry. Like me or not, but I'm gonna tell you the way it is.
And I'll just touch on that. I went through probably a half hour before. It's the same thing. The thing that I'm seeing is, you know, if we're monitoring the town, it seems to be just on the outskirts of the village. We're not monitoring these roads that are out and about. Not saying they're not. I just see them more often not to sit at the bus station, at the chipper plant, or down near Swan Lumber. I'm not seeing them patrolling farther out. Chad, I've seen Chad many times out and about, the Lakewood, Middle Road, County Road. And I just by chance go through and they're there, but it just seems to be they're just sitting on the outskirts of the village, and I think the problem's a little bit farther out, that's all. Because I'm getting calls and emails as well. I say it's really time to start writing some tickets. I know we want to educate them and give them warnings, but there's no better way to start going after their pocketbooks, they'll slow down.
Yeah. I'm on the road all the time. I don't ever see a SWAT cruiser setting setting on a road out in the town. You know, I always see them on the outskirts of the village. Not saying you're not doing it, but I never see anybody monitoring the roads. And I'll just throw it out there. It was Saturday night, there was a St. Albans trooper sitting on the St. Albans Swanton Town line on 105 by the greenhouse pulling over cars. He was there for an hour. And I saw him pull over several cars. So.
Okay, I do know that this weekend they had, because of the holiday weekend, a lot of departments were out there for click it or ticket for the holidays. So you may have seen an increase in different agencies in the area. That's all extra grant funding that they get. We could have officers up here from Chittenden County and from Franklin County in different areas. So it's definitely a possibility that the state police were participating in that this weekend.
Was Swan PD part of that program?
We were part of that, actually. We were, I don't know if we were able to staff it. We had a lot of demands on our services over the holiday weekend. And I can't speak for our officers. I did not see the numbers if we actually were able to participate in that this weekend yet.
Well, there's 3 of you on there that are in charge. One of you should be able to know whether someone was monitoring it or not, or a part of the program. Come on.
Well, I could definitely find out if we did have somebody working that detail. Like I said, I believe that we were not able to participate due to staffing issues this weekend.
I'm not impressed, I'll tell you that. Anybody got anything else to add to the PD?
I would just say that it does appear to me, I've only been on the board since March, that there are issues, there are citizens that are concerned about what's going on the roads, and most of it has to do with speeding or irresponsible driving. They're telling me they don't see much of a presence either. Now, I guess maybe we ought to take a look at exactly what you guys are doing, and maybe some of the things that we would like to see done could be incorporated into that and have a more visible presence out there in the town on, you know, on Lakewood Drive or Butchie Road, whatever. That might help alleviate a lot of the feelings and a lot of the thoughts that are out there. Until that happens, I think this is going to be a constant issue.
And we're more than open to have, if any of you have a specific location, I know Sergeant Parr and I can speak for ourselves that we are open to have, if you want to communicate with us, if you want to send us emails, we can provide you all with that contact information. If you give it to us, we will make sure it gets done and that there is an increased presence out there.
I just don't know, Dave, how many times we've got to put this out there. And now, I don't imagine that you guys monitor public opinion on Facebook, but I have to admit that I do. And this morning, if there wasn't a dozen people that complained about the job that the Swanton Police Department is doing, there wasn't one. So for us as board members for the town of Swanton, that brings some deep concern. And I don't think any of us are happy with the answers that we're getting from you guys tonight. So we might have to look at a different option.
You might have to.
That's all I'm gonna say. Because,
one of the things I want to point out that, I had done in several of the past meetings was give you an hour by hour breakdown of what the patrol shift was doing, where we had several months where we had a total out of the whole month of our 56-hour contract, where when we took the time that we were on actual calls for service, it left us only with 30 hours for the entire month to do randomized patrol, because those officers were literally had either people in custody from the town for criminal complaints, or were responding to specific calls for service. With that said, that left very little time to do motor vehicle enforcement. I don't have the breakdown of calls for service for this month, but I mean, that's something that, we all have to keep in mind, that when you're the more calls for service that we're doing for citizens' complaint, that's time that the officer is not available for directed patrols and or randomized patrolling of different areas.
Well, that point I think it's a valid point, Chief, but we don't have those numbers in front of us. If we're using 3/4 of our time, then maybe we need to consider that we might need more time. So, if this call, how many calls you got? If you had 3 calls today for citizen complaints, how much time was actually spent on that? Those are the things we need to know, because maybe we just don't have enough coverage if we got all these other issues going on.
I mean, that's why I'm just pointing that out, because I didn't do that breakdown for this month, because I haven't seen those calls for service myself, having being out of town today. But those are things that we have to keep in consideration as we look at what the officers are doing, and having the ability to hold all the officers accountable. We look at that. We're in the process of changing over software with the state of Vermont, which is going to make for that accountability and us to be able to give you a more detailed breakdown of what that officer has done during their 8-hour shift, to include how much time they spent on paperwork, how much time they spent on specific calls for service. So we'll have better reports in the near future. I think that the go live date for our new software is July 1, but that's a moving target date with the state of Vermont, as they change our complete reporting system over, and it's going to be much more robust and much more beneficial in keeping track of what we're doing for services and stuff like that. So as the chief, what we can move forward with and hopefully have a more robust report for you next week, and work on as much directed patrol as we can within the town, and be more specific on those locations, so that we can report that back to you folks.
Hey, Chief, one thing we spoke about last meeting afterwards was property watches. When we see that listed, exactly what does that mean? Do you get out of the vehicles, do a walk around, or just drive the location? What does that mean?
So the not directed patrols, the property watches is a combination of driving through. Sometimes the officers are getting out of the car, walking around, making sure everything is good at that time. It depends on, how busy they are during that night. If the night is somewhat quiet, they're spending more time, diligently checking those, but at bare minimum, it's a cursory check. Sometimes, like I said, it's, get out, walk the rail trail, get out, walk around the buildings, make sure everything is secure and, no problems.
I'm just trying to get an understanding, are we spending too much time doing that? That's why I was asking.
Yeah, no, I mean, if it's a real busy night, it's minimal. If it's a real quiet night, they spend a little more time on it. Or if they see something when they drive through, then they get out and make sure it's, not a problem.
I was looking at the report, chief, that was, on Facebook last week, and it appeared to me that most of the time is being spent on these property watches. And I think that's where we have, as a board, that we have a problem, because we're not getting the police presence in the right areas. It's property watch. Something's gotta change. Something's gotta change.
Absolutely.
I mean, goes back, and I've had this discussion with you, this will be the third time, chief. These traffic stops and not issuing tickets, I'm still not on the same page as you. Until we start writing tickets, people are gonna continue to abuse it, because they're getting away with it. I mean, and now, like I said, not to repeat myself, each one of us as selectmen, we're getting emails and stuff from the public. And one thing that stuck out in my mind is I had somebody get in touch with me and saying, they've called your office a couple times, and Donnie always refers them to the state, well, you gotta call the state police. I mean, I'm hearing this frequently, over and over. I don't buy it. I don't like it either.
Well, I mean, if somebody's calling for service or to make a complaint during the time frame that we're not covering, and it's something that needs to be addressed, we are obviously referring them to the Vermont State Police, because we're only policing from 5 p.m. until 1 a.m.
And I understand that.
So if somebody's calling in at noontime, we're telling them that they need to call the Vermont State Police to make that report. If it's, for a theft or a vandalism or that's just occurred, then that service has to go to the Vermont State Police. So without specifics, I can't, say whether or not what they got for service was appropriate or not appropriate.
David, are you living in Swanton now?
No, I'm not.
Is that in the future plans, or?
For right now, I don't have any plans on moving. It may be a possibility down the line, but right now, my wife and I have no plans to leave where we're staying right now.
Okay, thank you. That's all I got.
Yeah, I'm done.
If I could speak, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Chad.
Our job here is public safety, both for the town and the village. Now I'm looking at the stats here from the print off I got today. And for the month of May, we had 3 motor vehicle crashes on contract time. And the number of motor vehicle crashes that happened in the town during non-contract time outweighs that. And I personally, I'm out there on the nights that I work the town shift. I'm moving around. I'm on 105, I'm on 207, I'm on Lakewood Drive. I'm all over the place. You'll see me waving to you everywhere. I think that those patrols and the cars that we do stop is making a difference in keeping our roadways safer, because we're not seeing the high number of motor vehicle crashes that we're investigating during contract time. I'm also looking at some of the calls that we've handled in the town, and just looking at them like DUIs, and that's a 2-hour at least process to deal with. That and that's on town time. Some of these calls here are suicide attempts, stuff like that. Those are detailed incidents usually that require several hours of the officer's time, and also usually it incorporates the village officer as well to handle those type of calls, because the town officer is not responding by themselves to a suicidal person or such. So I think and also the other thing is tickets. We're not going to tell an officer they have to write tickets, because we have discretion to either issue written warnings or violations, tickets. And from what I've seen over the 10 years I've been here, is if I write someone a warning, I don't usually see them again. And if I do write them a ticket. I can't speak for every officer here about who's seeing repeat offenders, but typically if we issue someone a warning, we don't usually see them violating again. It's someone else. But that's my 2 cents in the matter.
Chad, I certainly appreciate, the input, that you gave us in the first. That's valuable information that we need to know, what a night entails. If you had a DWI, how many hours does it take to process that, or a suicide or anything like that? Without that, we just see this on a piece of paper, how many hours were unrelated to such and such. So I think maybe some more detail into some of the reporting might help us acknowledge what you guys really are doing. We're not saying you're not. We know there's only one officer during our coverage time. You can't be everywhere. We're just going off the feedback that we're getting constant from the citizens, that's why.
I understand. Like I said, we're not seeing a high number of motor vehicle crashes on the roadway, so that leads me to believe that our roadways are safe. I'm not saying there's not a speeding issue. I'm not saying there is a speeding issue. From what we're seeing though, with the amount of crashes that we're seeing, the roadways seem to be pretty safe in the town during the times that we are patrolling.
I think we need, what we need to do, I'm not saying that Swanton Village Department isn't doing the best they can, I think they are. But what we're doing isn't really working. So if we're gonna resolve this issue, we're gonna have to get together and decide on some kind of changes that the board is gonna be comfortable with. And we can explain back to our citizens what is going on. I can't do that now. I mean, I made a request 2 meetings ago or 1 meeting ago about some information for Campbell Bay Road to provide for a citizen, and I haven't gotten that yet either. So those are the kind of things that make it difficult, or are going to make it difficult for us to work together, and I can see no benefit for the town and the village to have separate police protection. We're a hell of a lot better off working together and resolving some of these issues, and what I'm gonna say right now is, what are we gonna decide on tonight, how we're gonna do that? That's where this discussion should go.
If I could just add to that, I'm a firm believer in, I agree with you 100% on that. I've often thought that it doesn't make any sense to have a separate police department, just one for the village. I think there should just be one Town of Swanton Police Department. That being said, if we could work towards possible merger or doing something along those lines in the future, it would give us more resources to be able to address a lot of these issues that, unfortunately, by just having one officer in the town, just during that 8-hour contract period, it's difficult for us to address some of those issues for lack of manpower. I would love to have a dedicated traffic officer just to deal with traffic stuff. I think it would be benefit for both communities. But I agree with you 100%. I'm just looking towards the future. I think that's the way to go. If there's some way we could sit down in the future and discuss that, I think it would be beneficial for both the village and the town.
All right, where do we go from tonight? Do we do some kind of small committee to get together with some of the issues that the board has brought up here in ways that the village police department can address those issues? That is realistic. I understand that. And then, as we show this ability to work together, people are going to get more confident in the idea. Now, we don't have time to wait for a merger either on this issue. That's the thing. That might never happen. But certainly, I think we can keep the police coverage here in Swanton as one unit if we all work together. And we, as a board, will be able to tell the people out there, just our citizens, and when they call us, what is going on and why it's happening this way, why it may not be exactly the way you want it. They may not like it, you know, and they may call for change, and if they call for change, then they can vote in maybe that other police officer you're talking about. But the way things are right now, you know, it's sort of like we don't know what's really going on, and we think we do, and there's, you know, it seems like there's getting to be some ill feelings here, and I'd like to avoid that from getting any worse.
I would definitely rather work with the board than against them. I mean, I'll speak, I don't live in the community, but obviously I care about the community. I work for the police department there, and we want to have all these quality of life issues, all these criminal issues. We want to fix them too. It's like I said, we're more than willing to work with everybody on the board. I can speak for myself, and I'm sure I can speak for Sergeant Parra as well. We're more than willing to sit down, if it's one-on-one or a group, and try to solve some of these issues, and even working with you to try to come up with some solutions as well, because it's not just the police department, it's the community that can help us solve these problems, let us know where the issues are, maybe even come up with some suggestions as to how we can alleviate some of these issues, whether it's traffic, drug dealing, anything like that. Like I said, we'd rather work with the community and with the board than against them, because we don't want this to be adversarial. We're all in this to have a safer community, and that's what it all comes down to. We want everybody to be safe and happy living here.
So my question would be, you know, what's the biggest concern by the board? Is it, you know, the citizen complaints that you're fielding from the taxpayers? Is it the nature of their complaints? Is it the perception of lack of coverage because they're not seeing a car? I mean, what are the biggest concerns, you know, that you have for the police department? I think those are things we need to sit down and talk about. What the LT just talked about is
Biggest, let me add. The two biggest things, Chad, is the speeding and the presence. I'm gonna tell you those are the number two things. Yeah, that's all the complaints we get, is we don't see them, his cars are speeding, the bikes are speeding. It's just constantly.
Yeah. And I'll second that.
And I will third
Yeah, I'm hearing the same thing, and you know, when people reach out to you and say, what are we paying for? I go by the police station and all the cruisers are sitting in the yard. It's ridiculous.
And just to throw it out there, we just had the highway traffic they did with the other departments this weekend, and we didn't participate because we didn't have enough help. Basically is what you just told me. Correct?
I think the best approach here to go forward would be to form a small committee made up between the police department, one or two of the selectmen, and say our village manager, sit down, hash out our issues and what map out the best possible plan to go forward so that we can address all those issues.
That's fair.
Yes, we should do that and start it right off, you know, before things get out of hand.
And I'll add to that and say, if you want to know what we're doing, my passenger seat's empty. Come ride with me.
I didn't hear the end of that, Chad.
I said, if you want to know what we're doing at night, my passenger seat's empty. Come ride with me. We'll show you.
I was going to get ready to call you on it pretty soon anyways, but yes, you're always welcoming.
I mean, you can jump in and ride with me one night.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chad. Okay.
Do you want to make some kind of decision on who's going to be involved in this, right? Well, I think we should get it done and get it over with. Otherwise, it's going to drag into the next meeting, nothing's going to happen.
Do you want to be part of it, Mark, as the police commissioner?
Yeah, I think it should.
And
James?
Yeah.
James, it's Gordon.
Yeah.
I'm listening here to the baseball game. Do you mind if, before you finalize this, do you mind if I just add one more thing?
Go ahead.
Something that I don't think's been mentioned, retail theft. I know my business in the village, and it's certainly not on the town premise, but just as someone just said about one Swanton, I think it's probably happening everywhere and not just in the village. So I would concentrate on retail theft. We're getting a tremendous amount of theft in Swanton. You know, we have 6 stores, 5 other stores, and Swanton certainly seems to be the hotbed for us right now. So I would just add to that retail theft is really beginning to be a issue in our downtown. So
Thank you for bringing that up, Gordon.
yeah.
Appreciate
So, but I'll leave you. But thanks, and Chad's on one right now for us, and I thank him for that. That we're working to catch a thief. We have some pictures, we have some videos, and Chad's been working for us on that. But there's just so many that seem to. It's not so much losing the problem. It's not so much catching them and getting our product back as much as it is deterring them from coming to our store or to the town for that matter.
Yep.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Gordon.
Thank you, Gordon.
All right, so Mark, you're gonna, get a hold of the chief and set up a time, hopefully,
I'd be happy to be involved in that, Mark.
Okay.
and any concerns any of us other select board members might have, where would we email them to? Directly to you?
I'd say
I would say
shoot it to
send
me.
Mark.
Through this?
Mark is the police
Okay.
commissioner,
All
so
right.
we can do
That'd
that.
be easier, and then I'll shoot you guys an email, include a reg on it, and see if we can get together here soon and see if we come up with something. I think we can work something out, we just have to put our heads together here.
You know, and if it requires changes in the future, well, we can start planning for that.
Okay. Thank you to the three of you for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Very good. Health officer report.
Thank you.
So the health officer's report, as all of you are well aware, we had a huge trash pile on First Street, that thanks to, some of the other, myself and some of the other members, within the police department, after making tons of phone calls and working with the landlord, we were able to get that mess cleaned up. When I made initial calls to the state as to what some of my legal recourse was if the tenant and the landlord didn't clean it up, they told me I had to wait 2 weeks before I could force the hiring of somebody to clean it up. And obviously that, in my opinion, couldn't wait 2 weeks, but we were able to work with the landlord in a very speedy manner to get that cleaned up real quickly. David Discavage Lieutenant Kajajian was fielding a ton of calls from citizens directly to the police department. He was in contact with the landlord. I was in contact with the landlord. And with all that contact, we were able to get that cleaned up. And myself, I'm in the process of actually fining the tenant of that property for the illegal dumping. Don't know how that'll play out in court, but I feel that the fact that he threw all that trash where he did, spilling it out onto the sidewalk in the village, he will deserve the punishment that the law allows us to set forth there. The other issue that I worked on and addressing with the Agency of Natural Resources was a complaint from Tractor Supply of their sewage system full. Agency of Natural Resources is finishing that up because they were the ones that got the initial call, and the Tractor Supply initially wasn't receptive. My understanding as of today, they're receptive and getting that their system pumped out and back into compliance with their permitting stuff. I am still working with the state of Vermont on a trailer in Country Acres that should be condemned, and we're trying to figure out the best approach and best way to do that with some of the state officials. That is ongoing, and some of that is being delayed until this week. I'm hoping to get more information because that's when certain things from the health department were able to work on types of condemnation of property because of COVID. They had stopped it, and now that's being let up. So I'll have more information in the coming weeks on that place. And that's as bad as what was happening on First Street, but it's all inside the dwelling, and the odor is spilling out into the rest of the trailer park. And there's some other mitigating factors there, but we're diligently working on that.
Anything else?
That is it.
That's it. All right. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All good.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. Old Town Business, public presentation for the engineer's report for the MVU sidewalk. Page 4.
I'm gonna try this.
What's that?
I just wanna make sure I didn't get that screechy feedback.
Oh,
Just a bit of
just a
that.
little echo beneath that.
Is it okay? I'm not gonna talk that long. Or that really loud screechy sound. So I just kind of wanted to set this up. We have Doug with Lammer and Dickinson, and then Bethany Remmers with Northwest Regional Planning Commission. Bethany is the municipal project manager for this project. And Lammer and Dickinson is the consultant that was hired to do the MDU sidewalk design and construction phase. And if you remember, we've already done the feasibility study. So the overall scope of the project has already been determined, the budget's already been determined. So they are just here to present the conceptual plan that's been approved. And correct me if I'm wrong, been through V-Trans's approval process. So all of their comments and concerns have been addressed. So we're going to share the screen. Doug, you need to share the screen, correct?
I'm going to try.
Okay, so we'll do that here in a second. Let me mute myself so we get rid of the echo. Okay, we'll share this if you want.
And people see that, my screen?
Not yet.
Yep.
Oh,
Well, I believe so.
let's see. Oh, I don't, hold on, I don't want to share. I hit the wrong button, Doug.
Till you start fooling with that computer.
Yeah. Okay, so go ahead and try it now, Doug.
Well, I haven't done anything, but give me
Okay.
a second. There. Share screen. How
Oh,
about now?
we're getting there. It's coming. Perfect.
There we go.
Okay.
All right, so these are what are considered revised conceptual plans. They have today's date on them. No, they don't. They have April 21. This set of plans initially went to V-Trans for their review. They have a process called their shared plan review where I think on this project they had 15 engineers reviewing the set of plans, which is typical. The plans are for a 5-foot wide concrete sidewalk starting at the intersection of Missisquoi Street and First Street along the northerly edge of First Street and proceeding easterly, going underneath. So this is, can you see my mouse moving?
Yeah.
Okay. So Missisquoi Street, First Street, this is the new, will be where the new 5-foot sidewalk is. There will be concrete across the aprons for the RL Valley, the Maple Fields piece. And then I'll flip down to the next sheet. Oops. I'm sorry, I've got one sheet apparently out of order. It will go underneath the interstate bridges on the First Street side of the columns. The bridge piers, you can see there are 2 here, there are 2 here. It will continue to the northbound on-ramp. There will be a crosswalk across that on-ramp. Another stretch of concrete sidewalk from the on-ramp to Frontage Road. A crosswalk across Frontage Road. And then a dedicated 5-foot wide concrete sidewalk from there all the way to Thunderbird Drive. Some of the bigger challenges, as you might guess, along this whole project have been storm drainage. There was a there was a culvert. There is a culvert under the southbound off ramp. So between the interstate and the maple fields, that nobody knew where it was. There was no evidence of it in the field. We were able to locate it. So we will have to clean that culvert as part of this project. I've talked to the Ross Gowan, who's our V-Trans contract, and he acknowledges that the town's budget can't afford to replace that culvert. It's huge, it's long, and it's rotten. So we'll be looking into what we can do. So again, this sidewalk just continues along the north side. We've left room between the existing traveled lanes on First Street and the sidewalk to allow for a possible future bike lane, as part of what's called the complete streets theory. And that's the case all the way along. And again, it comes along and it ends right at Thunderbird Drive. The MVU understands that they will be responsible. They can apply for grants, but they will be responsible for extending a leg of the sidewalk along Thunderbird up to the high school. This project will not be doing that. So that's pretty much the basics. We've been kind of actively responding to V-Trans comments. They didn't want any of the sidewalk to pitch toward the road. They wanted all to pitch away from the road, which takes a little bit of doing, and we're not quite there yet. It just, through the first stretch, it really doesn't make sense to do that because there's a bank that goes up to the parking lot. So we will have to work with them and just make sure that they understand that there will be a ditch between the road, similar to what's there now, not quite as deep in places, deeper in other places. But there's just no room to put a closed drainage system starting right from the very beginning. I'm going to flip back up here to the first page. So the first part of the closed drainage system is actually an existing culvert that starts right about here. We're actually going to be removing that from there to this existing catch basin and replacing it because it currently is substandard, it's crushed, and it doesn't give us the drainage that we need for this area. And then we'll remove the existing culvert that crosses the Maple Fields exit, put in a new one, put in a new catch basin. And this is the sort of rain garden, if you will, in front of the Maple Fields. Most of that will actually be filled. There will be a new retaining wall that will maintain where their flagpoles are. But we're just doing the best we can to make sure everything drains, and we don't end up with too many skating rinks along the length of it. So that's the highlight of it.
Looks good. What's our next step?
Well, the next step is, so this is a step in the V-Trans project development process. This is called the public informational hearing. The next step is, if we get no major comments from the town's people, our next step will be to move into what's called preliminary plans. So this is sort of a, not really, but this sounds bad, but it's almost a take it or leave it presentation. We've designed this in accordance with the original scoping study, and as I say, if there are no major issues in the town or the village, then we'll move forward and continue on with the construction and engineering, and then eventually right of way.
Yeah, good. Looks good to me. What we got so far?
Hey Doug and Bethany, this is Mark. Just two questions after looking at some of these drawings, and one of them may be outside the scope. At the beginning, where Missisquoi Street is, to where the McDonald's kind of intersection, right there where you are, that drainage in that corner going up Missisquoi Street really seems to back up and cause problems. I just worry what more is gonna happen there if that sidewalk is leaning again that way.
Well, that's what I sorry to interrupt. That's what I was saying is, I can just gesture with my hands and, from here to here. So from about here to about here, we're just going to have to tell V-Trans, and we will tell V-Trans, there is no feasible way to drain it away from the road.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's one of the major reasons we're replacing this existing culvert, is so we can get the inlet down deep enough to have a ditch that runs this line with the sort of chevrons. That's a new drainage ditch. And so we're forcing the water to get there. Right now, I mean, you can probably, I'm sure you've all seen it. There's a pretty good swimming pool here after a heavy rain. And so we'll be draining that.
Then the second thing, the intersection of 78 and Frontage Road, the amount of traffic that goes up Frontage Road and comes off it, is there any wiggle room or money is available to put one of them electronic crossings there to cross Frontage Road? Because there's thousands of cars a day that go in that intersection.
This intersection here?
No, up probably on your next slide, in your where Frontage Road is.
Just on the other side of the interstate.
Yeah.
Frontage road is.
Back one.
Back one.
LaFar is right here.
No, that's too bad.
So you've passed it.
Yeah.
No, back one.
Go back to where the interstate, I think, one was. I think it went to Frontage Road.
I guess I'm not understanding what.
So there's a frontage road that goes north, just past the interstate?
That's this right here. This is Frontage Road.
Okay. So I'm wondering, because there's a lot of vehicles that go up and down that road, constant, is there any monies available to put electronic crossing there? I know we have a crosswalk at the stop, but I just worry of the safety of cars just zooming in and off that road. Can we put some kind of digital,
Like a flashing.
beacon, yeah?
Do you have
I can't answer that, to be perfectly honest. I don't know what the original grant involved dollars wise. What you're describing, it's kind of a tongue twister. The RRFB, so it's a rapid reflective flashing beacon.
Yeah.
And so those cost about, last time I priced them, those were somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000 a piece.
Wow. No, I mean, there is a stop sign there,
Yeah, I know,
but,
the vehicles, and we're talking safety and
So
kids.
and that may be something we can apply for, we're doing
Well,
that for
they-
Marble Mill, so that may be something we can apply for next year, depending on what the construction
if
is.
they pave for Spring Street next year like they say they're gonna, hopefully it'll alleviate some of that traffic. They all come down Frontage Road because Spring Street's so bad. Nobody wants to drive on
It's
it.
just something I noticed, that thousands of vehicles there, that's all.
Well, it's a heavily used intersection area.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
There's some risk involved with that.
Yeah, if we're pushing pedestrians to walk to the village from the town up there, it's a concern we really should keep in mind.
Well, that could also be something to bring the PD back into. I know when the SRO was sitting out in front of MVU, people were speeding less going into the parking lot, so maybe during, that time with hours of children utilizing the passageway, maybe there's some sort of patrol there as well.
Other than that, I think it was great and everything I looked at.
Okay. Well, that certainly is something we can investigate. We will, one thing I didn't talk about, but I can now that we're talking about signals. the intersection with Missisquoi and Robin Hood, all of those pedestrian signals are all gonna go away and be replaced with new ones,
Good.
that actually work.
Yeah, I know we did talk about that in the beginning, so thank you.
Yep.
Well, take them old ones and put them up on frontage road then.
That'll work, right? So, well,
I got one other question. What about the property owners up close to Thunderbird Drive and houses aren't very far from the road? What's the plan with 78? Is it gonna be made wider in that area?
Well,
There's quite a volume of truck traffic that go up through there.
there is, and I mean, it's tricky to see because V-Trans plan standards, this really light line that you can see that my mouse is going along, that's the edge of the traveled way. You're absolutely right. And this is the front of the Bouchard house.
Yeah.
And the Brissette, Charbonneau and Brissette. So yeah, there's, but unfortunately, V-Trans does own that right of way. Well, I shouldn't say unfortunately, but the reality is they own that right of way. So they can do, within reason, they can do whatever they want to it.
Well, I know they can do whatever they want to, but is that gonna be in the best interest of the people that live in that area, this community, and the safety of the kids walking on that sidewalk? I don't care what the state can do. I'd like to see what, if that's the best way to resolve this issue, because I'm thinking right now, even though I wasn't involved with this at the beginning, but this is a public hearing, and the public can speak, if that went behind the town garage into MVU that way.
And we had that discussion, and it was decided that this is the way that it was gonna go. That's how we ended
It
up
was
with
looked at
this.
that at the beginning to go in right across from, right next to frontage road, go in that way.
Yeah.
But
Town
a
garage.
lot of people felt it wasn't as safe, went through the woods.
I'm not saying going through frontage road, because I understand there could be some issues there, because it's quite a bit of wooded area.
Yeah.
But going behind the town garage straight into MVU would not be that much of an issue.
But you're only relieving half, because you still got the same issue down below between the town garage and the frontage road.
I know.
Being close to the road
But
too,
that's, you're less close to the road, and then you got them houses there. I'm surprised them people ain't here tonight.
Yeah.
Well, and we have, and I absolutely don't mean to sound like cold-hearted. We have litigated this multiple times, and this is what people who showed up decided they wanted, so this is what we are moving forward with.
So the people that own those houses there are okay with all this?
They weren't 100% in favor of it, but they.
We had many hearings on it, through the design process, to be sure this is the way we're gonna go.
And I think, hopefully they will realize that there is some benefit, that it will make it safer for them. And people do walk, and I've seen people with baby carriages and the whole bit walking along First Street. So I think as that area gets built up a little bit, and we encourage kids who can walk to and from, that it will be safe. And with the addition of the bike lane, the room for the bike lane, because we're not putting a bike lane, we're putting room for a bike lane. I don't want anybody to misunderstand that it adds some cushion and some alternative so that they can bike as well as walk.
But I really believe that V-Trans ought to be planning on widening 78 up through there on the other side with the right of way they own to get more distance. There's the shoulders there don't meet state highway standards. By any means, there's a lot of truck traffic that goes up through there. 78 is the main route.
And I give V-Trans the benefit of the doubt that if they do decide they need to widen 78, they will. I won't say they will, but they should. I agree. They should widen it on the south side of the road, because the houses that are there are considerably further away from the edge of the road.
Yeah, definitely. They can use that right away they have over there.
Right. But
and Doug,
yes.
This is Bethany. I was just going to ask, can you remind us, in this section of the project, what is the distance from the edge of the current pavement to where the sidewalk will start?
From end to end, it will be a minimum of 14 feet from the edge of the traveled way to the edge of the sidewalk.
Okay.
Now, there are places where there's 4 or 5 feet of pavement outside of the traveled way. But it's still from here. Bear with me just a sec. Let's scroll down here.
So you're saying there's gonna be 14 feet from the edge of the travel lane of the road, to the inside edge of the sidewalk?
Yes, the
Yeah.
WL here, that's the white line on the edge of the road where it
Yeah.
exists. So from that white line to the edge of the concrete, there'd be a minimum of 14 feet throughout.
That's pretty small.
It is. But the payback there is how much, trying to get some stormwater treatment and erosion control and the sidewalk and not be filling into these people's front yard. That's the trade-off.
Yep. Anybody, anything else for him? I think we're good. Thank you very much.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Anybody else out there in public?
Figure out how to buy it here now. There we go. Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night. Thank you. Discuss window bid replacement. What do we got for updates on that, David?
Well, just to recap, the bid opening.
Do we have that in our packet?
It's in the minutes. If you look at 4A of the minutes from the May 25th meeting.
Oh, no, I didn't know if you had the information. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, go ahead.
Approved the minutes earlier.
Yep.
Millbrook was $47,300. Russo Contracting was $55,000. Cornerstone Construction was $46,714.
Okay.
And then Bocash was $73,000.
Okay.
And I contacted the 3 above Bocash, the lower ones.
Yep.
And they more or less also they'd be using Marvin Windows. In the packet, and they all said it would be in the fall, would be the earliest they could start because of the situation with supply and demand.
Well, that's gonna take, if they order them tomorrow, it'll be at least the end of August for the windows even come in.
Yeah, they all said that whoever gets the bid, from the time they make the commitment, it would be at least 8 weeks before the windows would be here. And
8 to 12 weeks.
We're probably looking at spring.
They got time to get them in for winter, but they put them in September, they'll be all right.
And Millbrook just provided a brochure of Marvin Windows.
Yep.
And said that the larger ones up front would be I don't know my phone note here, they're one of their styles, and the other ones would be different stuff for the 606. And if you look on page...
So did all 3 of those, Millbrook and Russo, how do you pronounce it? And Cornerstone all got back to you with the styles and windows they're gonna use?
Yeah, Marvin. Yeah.
They're all gonna use Marvin?
Yeah. And if you remember on Russo, he had a higher quote for a different type of window, which is aluminum clad. And he said those would be Pella.
Yeah.
But the board wasn't interested in those. So.
We don't need Pella, aluminum clad.
And Cornerstone gave emailed me today a detailed description of how he would do the project. It's in the packet.
It is in the packet?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on page 16.
Yep, Marvin Windows. Clear bond, interior stain, just to match. No screens.
Those are just plain glass, but they must have the, wood thing that goes in there like these.
Yeah, yeah, they'll have the 6/6 pattern in there, yeah. because you asked. Slats.
Is anybody familiar with any of these contractors, or?
I don't really know any of them other than Millbrook, but
Would you
they're
like-
all out of town contractors.
Do you think it's reasonable to request David to do a little background work?
Well, we went back to him from the last meeting and asked for some more information, because a couple of them didn't discuss.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking
We can
about.
do a reference check.
Yeah, reference check, that's what I'm.
That's fine. I just don't.
Because there's such a big variance in the bid amount, that's why.
They're not really, I mean, you got 3 of them that are pretty much in the ballgame, and then the other one's a little off, you know, but, I mean, my guess off the top of my head was 50 grand, so. They're not too bad.
Millbrook is the company that built our new garage.
Yeah.
I think the longer we wait.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, if we wait another week, it's just one more week longer, we're at Windows, so.
And that's Millbrook you're talking about.
Right.
They're not the actual lowest bidder.
No, Cornerstone is the lowest bidder.
Yeah, they're closest to it.
Yeah.
And you don't know anything about Cornerstone, any other
I
projects?
know, other than I met him at the walkthrough, but, yeah.
Where are they from?
I think, I don't have the bid.
Yeah, I think.
Underhill or Jericho or somewhere that way.
Yeah, up that.
Yeah.
The, what's that town out there? Where the ranges for the,
Jericho.
Underhill.
Up that way.
That's what he said, Underhill.
Underhill.
Cornerstone there, you know, he's right out of St. Albans. The office is out of Williston, but,
Yeah. Cornerstone?
well, Mark Boudreau, he's the one that has, the fitness right here on Main Street.
Yeah. Mark owns Cornerstone?
No, well, down it does.
Yeah.
I say he works for him.
It was from Marvin, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Mark Bordeaux is the window rep for Marvin.
right.
But he's got, all he does is supply these contractors with
Oh, I
windows.
got you.
Yeah. That's all, they buy their windows, just like
Okay.
Swan Lumber bought their windows.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, the issue about the wind blowing through them, they're all addressing that,
That's all gonna be replaced, they're gonna be insulated.
and they all had the same,
They all have the same spec, that's why I got a walkthrough, so everyone's on the same page that we want. They're
And
gonna
they're-
reuse the interior trim as much as they can,
yeah.
and the same to match, and
They're not, are they all proposing basically the same way of fixing the problem?
yeah.
Yeah, they
They're
would
gonna be
have,
stripped right to the bare concrete and start it over, and reframe everything in, and put the new window in, it'll be all re-insulated. And most of these, I don't even think are insulated on the inside, that's why the wind blows through them.
yeah, the contract would reflect what was in the bid document,
Yeah.
request for bids.
Yeah, but there's different ways of doing things as far as insulation and stuff is concerned. You know, that, if that's the issue,
Yeah.
is there any variance in what they're proposing when they actually do the insulation work?
Well, they're supposed to, that one.
I mean, you can say it's insulated,
Yeah.
but there's
No,
different ways to
they
do it.
have
That's
to insulate the window, new windows in the casing, the interior. That's part of the contract, to re-insulate it.
I understand that completely,
Hmm.
but are they proposing different ways of doing it? They
I
didn't say-
don't have the bids right
They
in front of me.
didn't say anything in the bids, they just said they were gonna insulate it, didn't give you any detail on how they were going to do that.
No,
One of them told me that I guess the foam.
Most of them will spray foam.
It's pretty standard.
Yeah, it's pretty standard now.
Cause I don't wanna end up 10 years from now with the same problem we have now, because probably if this would've been done right initially,
Absolutely.
we wouldn't
it
do it
shouldn't be a
over.
problem.
Yep.
Yeah, well, right now there is no insulation.
No, I
And
don't think they're even insulated, so, the frames inside.
And using spray foam won't
Yeah.
affect the historical value of the building
No, I'll
now.
never see it. It'll be on the inside.
That's what I said about my car too, but
Yeah.
they saw it.
Yeah,
Depends what you want.
yeah.
So we're going
But,
Well, my
I'd like to
suggestion
move
is
forward with it, but.
move forward, approve it tonight and have Dave, whoever we decide to go with, do a background.
I'd like 3 references checked on whoever we pick, that, you know, and have David check the references. I would say, well, Pat,
And
approve
check-
it pending their referrals, their references.
Yeah, and check with, I mean, we can check with, State of Vermont, see if there's any, outstanding complaints against them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The other thing I would like to have Dave do is ask them what they plan on using for insulation in those windows, so that we're sure we're gonna get an airtight thing when we're done.
We can put it right in the contract, you're gonna have to sign too, that we want them spray foam.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know, is that the best method? I don't know, I'm not in the window business, you
That's the
know.
best you can do, spray foam.
Yeah.
Don't be any tighter than that.
Yeah.
Better than the old fiber insulation where you tuck it in.
Yeah, tuck it in, buddy dog.
So, are we gonna go with the low bidder? There's not a big difference between the two, I don't know, you know, Millbrook, I guess, did the town garage,
Yeah, there was some issues, but
Yeah.
with the town garage when they built it, we had, I wasn't part of it, but
you had issues?
there was issues, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Earl, to answer your question, if you look at the bottom of page 14, it says general contractor to supply appropriate membranes, fasteners, sealants, shims, foam installation to install the new windows in a best practice installation.
There you go.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't see that.
this is what this guy's proposing.
Which one is stone?
Yeah.
Page 14 on the bottom.
Right, so we know what he's proposing.
Yep.
And if I remember, I'd like what Bruce was proposing myself. Even though it was at 55.
Yeah.
So you wanna make a motion that we approve Cornerstone?
I was more like Bruce myself, but it's a higher one.
This is the higher one.
Yeah. Yeah, almost 10 grand more. Not $8,000.
That's just,
Yeah.
let's say somebody else wants to make a motion on
No.
that.
Yeah.
Now, I guess I would ask you the question, Mark, boy,
I don't have the other.
I don't have the bids. You have the bids from last week, David?
Yeah. I think what they laid out, how they laid it out, got my attention a little bit more definitely.
A couple of them didn't have anything but the price on the
It was just
proposal.
generic.
Per year.
Everything's in
sort of
there.
like the questions I was
He
asking.
gave us what we wanted. What we wanted. I'm more in favor of that person.
This one is Millbrook.
I don't know
That's
any.
Cornerstone.
They're all
This is Bocash.
somebody I know.
This is,
They're
is
not considered.
This is what we got from. Cornerstone there.
This is the one you were talking about. That's more money.
This is Cornerstone, okay.
This is Bruce one.
This one, Millbrook.
This was, they're probably gonna get pretty much the same product out of all of them.
They're all using Marvin Windows. They're all the same.
Maybe better off a little bit.
Yeah.
Little Cornerstone, better.
I can't clear conscience see spending another 10 grand with it.
No, and they're all using the same window. It's not like somebody's got different. They're all using Marvin Windows, so, yeah.
I'd like to make a motion, James, that we offer Cornerstone Construction the contract with the stipulation that we get 3 references, and also that Dave does a check with the state of Vermont to see if there's any major complaints or red flags that we should be aware of.
Yep. Good. You want to second that?
I'll second that.
All right.
Thank you,
You
Mark.
want
I
any
might-
discussion?
I think, well, yeah, oh, Spen seconded, right? So we can have.
Yeah, go ahead. It's all good.
Who's gonna give the okay if everything Dave gets is good?
David can give the okay then.
You don't want it to go through the chair, and we don't want it to go through
Well,
the
he
chair.
can come back to me with it first.
Yeah.
You can come back to me and let me know what he finds out. That's fine, and I can okay it.
So then I would amend the motion to allow the chair to make the final, we're giving preliminary approval, and if he meets all our requirements that were in the motion,
Yeah,
then we authorize the chair to okay it.
I'm good with that.
simple enough.
I'm good with
Yeah.
that.
That's an amendment to the original motion.
But that
Good. All right. Good.
works for me.
So
Any other
somebody,
discussion?
somebody has a second then.
I'll second that.
Second amendment, okay.
Yep.
All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Now you can vote on the main motion as amended.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Got that taken care of. Hopefully we can get.
You're moving forward.
Yes. Discuss reopening office to the town office building to the public. I thought we talked about
Where the
that
hell you
last
seen
week.
that?
Oh.
Yeah, you're on wrong.
Ah, great.
I was like,
Oh.
something popped up.
Mark, Mark,
Be all right.
thanks him, will you?
Yeah.
Want to take over?
It's 'cause I was reading
Let's go
something
to
out there.
let's go to Newtown business.
There we go. Whew. Road pavement bids. Let's do that. What do we got, David?
Two.
David says we got 2 bids.
One from Pike, one from,
When did you get those, Dave?
they came
Pipe
in
just came
today.
in
Oh,
today.
because when I talked to you this morning, we didn't have any.
No.
No, they came in today
Yeah,
after.
but when I talked to you, you didn't have
We
one.
didn't have them this
Right.
morning.
No, they just come in.
That's why, that
Yeah.
surprised me.
That
You
way,
said-
if you gotta change the price, they change it last minute.
Oh.
The other, is with them.
Well, you, wait till the afternoon when the mail comes in.
Well, they probably handle it down short. Yeah.
Yeah, they, wow.
I'll let you open one, I'll open one. Now, before you open that, we go by the lowest per ton price, that's how we figure it, so. Looks to be, I'll verify it here, see if I can, but looks to be 65.89 per ton.
Sorry, James, who do you
Yeah.
have?
Oh, I'm sorry, I have,
Pike.
I believe it's Pike, let me verify, yeah, Pike Industries.
Pike.
Yep,
65
was
what,
that?
James?
$65.89 per ton.
Marcus?
This bid from Frank W. Whitcomb appears to be $70.46 per ton.
Wow,
Wow.
a lot more. So they, for what we had spec'd out, there is a total price of, Pike's total price is $596,633.95. And some of that is pending whether we get,
Give me that number again, please.
yep, 596, 633.95.
Thank you.
Yeah, but,
I have to wonder if there's some math, because my grand total is at 70.46 is 567,625.
Something all right.
Well, it's because they figure different tonnages on the roads. Some figure, that's why we always go by price per ton, because someone will figure more tonnage than the other when they estimate
On one
the
road.
total estimate per road. But we only got $280,000 in our paving budget, so not all these roads are gonna get paved.
Right, you're right.
so we're only gonna do roughly half of what we,
Yeah, well, we were hoping to get the grant from BB Road, which
Yeah.
we still haven't heard on.
yeah.
So, which would be.
How much is a BB road?
175.
175,000, so
This price one.
that'll get us close, but, EC cement cost is
Yeah, 552.
$552 a ton, that's what mine says, yeah, as of June 2020 V transposting. That's one thing we have to take into account too, which doesn't affect the per ton price, but, well, it does, but
They estimate how many tons it's gonna take.
it could change by the time they pave the road, and the price could go up because of the AC, the crude oil they put in the asphalt.
I think the difference.
We got into an issue with that a few years back, because when we got done paving, it cost us more than what it was supposed to, because the AC prices changed.
Nobody keeps track of it while you're doing it?
Well, they do, but. it-
Then you can say, okay, we're not gonna do this section of the road this year.
That's what we
because-
have to be careful of.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think here it's depending on
Mhm.
the estimate, how many tons it's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
take.
here's the actual paper I was looking for, it was tucked in the other one. Yeah. 65.89 per ton, the total is 596, 633.95. And you said they were $70 a ton?
70.46.
Yeah. So,
Well, then I guess I'll make a motion that we accept the paving, bid from Pikes.
yep, Pike Industry,
I second that.
alright. Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Now you figure out how we're gonna spend the money. Pave.
I got one road in mind, that's it.
Yeah.
I pushed for the same one, desperately needed.
Yeah, well, I was just looking to see what was on the list. Yeah. I'll get with Kevin and we'll talk about it, see what we can come up with, so. Alright, let's take care of it. Can you send me and Kevin a copy of that in
Sure.
the email, the Pike one? Discuss library petitioning proposal with Caleb. Is Caleb on tonight? Yeah, there he is.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Fantastic. God, I know you've had a long meeting, so I'll try not to take up too much of your time. But we would like to install a partition in the first floor. We want to do it between the adult fiction area and the circulation desk entryway. And because while the library is blessed with a great deal of open space and natural light, it's also very loud. And so we want to try and install this tempered glass partition so that we'll cut down on the sound. We will keep all that natural light that everyone loves so much. We'll be able to have more distinct areas for people to go and read and enjoy themselves, but also because we want to keep the option open for us to move the children's room to the first floor. And we think that could potentially work very well, but we like the idea of the partition anyway, regardless. And so we got some bids. We wanted to apply for a grant to help us pay for 50% of it. But now that we know that it's actually something that we could do, we wanted to talk about it with you and see if it's something that you'd be okay with.
Is that going to go from the floor to the ceiling?
Yes.
It is. Okay. One thing that you'll have to check on is your sprinkler system to make sure you
Yeah, so
for that.
That was addressed about whether it would be
What's that?
That was addressed whether it would be fire safe.
Okay.
So there were a number of issues like that, not least of which was, would it hold up to a small child running at it full force, which we try to avoid, but it's like,
yep.
always have that potential. So yeah, that was a consideration.
Okay. Caleb, is this adult fiction, is that on the right side? I think come up the stairs, where is that?
Yeah, so when you first enter the building from First Street, you're facing the circulation desk, and then to your right is adult fiction, and there's an entryway.
Yep.
You can either turn to the left and go to the stairwell, or you can enter adult fiction. We would put it right in that little separation area.
What kind of width are you talking?
What kind of width?
Width, are you completely blocking that out? How big?
We would be completely blocking it out because again, there is the noise thing. It would be all tempered glass with like white aluminum facing for the hardware, but it would be entirely glassed in.
But you're not blocking that. You're still open to get back and forth through to the room, right? Like
Yeah, I mean there would be a door, but it would be unlocked and open for people to go through. It wouldn't be keeping people out. It would just be separating the space.
So you're putting in glass doors to totally block that off, to open and close the doors. Is that what you're saying?
I'm sorry, could you say that again? I apologize.
So you're going to block that off totally and add 2 doors in it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, at least that's the first spec we
Your
got.
proposal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can open them when you need to. And
You don't think, Caleb, just to be devil's advocate, you get some kind of accordion, really nice accordion ones that could open and close? That way you're not sealing that whole thing off?
It's a sound issue.
I understand, but you put that wall up, your wall's there, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be doors.
I understand, but again, that's just being.
No.
When you say an accordion, I'm not sure what you mean.
One that can open and close, you can open this and walk it. I mean, they make some pretty nice ones.
It's like they have in hotels, when they have conferences.
Correct.
If they want to make a bigger conference room, they open up the accordion partition.
Well,
We have a couple hours.
the reason why we weren't thinking about that is that when it's closed, there is a lot of wonderful natural light in that library, and we didn't want to create a sense that we didn't want to lose that wonderful illumination that we do get. And then the other thing is that if we do end up putting the children's room on the first floor, which I can talk more about that if you want, but if we do end up doing that, you really wouldn't want to have it kind of locked open at any point. You would want to have this is the children's area, this is the entryway.
Well, it's nice to be able to see through it too, That's a good thing.
How much is the cost, Caleb?
It's between 13 and 14,000. And so we are applying for we want to apply for a Vermont Arts Council grant that would pay for 50% of that. The library would pick up the other 50%.
When you say the library, Caleb, I have to ask.
The library fund.
Thank you.
Yes.
You were all ready for that. I like that, Caleb.
Okay. And it's in the see-through,
I think it's a good idea that it's glass, you can see through it. I couldn't see the sense of blocking it, so you couldn't see through it. Yeah. I don't have a problem with it. As long as you cover the concern about your fire sprinklers and stuff, make sure you're still in the same footprint you're supposed to be with those.
No, there was a lot of discussions about like what would happen if there was a tiny fire in front of those glass doors.
It isn't so much that, because is it closed there now, or is it open right to the ceiling?
It's open to the ceiling.
It's open to the ceiling. So what I'm saying with the sprinkler system is that sprinkler system pattern for that area to be open. So if you close that area, they may have to add another sprinkler on the other side of the wall, is what I'm saying, for a fire issue.
What we were told is that there's a sprinkler, because there's a sprinkler that's like right inside that area above the.
As long as you talk to your sprinkler company and takes care of it, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, we did.
As long as they're good with it, it's fine by me. It's just when you add things like that, it's things you have to think about. So I'm good with it.
Now, if you don't get the grant, Caleb, are you still going forward with it?
If we don't get the grant, we will try and find another grant. This is something that we would all love to do at the library, but it's not technically a critical rushing issue. So it's like, if this doesn't work out.
Can you change the terminology a little bit? So you're trying to be safe from the COVID or something, get some COVID money to pay for that?
No, we're still waiting. There is grant money for libraries from the ARPA, the ARPA funds, but the Department of Libraries has not given us information about that or what that money could be used for. So possibly yes. We just don't know yet.
I'm good. I don't think we need to vote on that, do we?
Yeah, for the record, I would consider it's a town.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So want to make a motion to tell the library to go ahead with the petition?
I'll move.
Yeah, a second?
I'll second.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Thank you, Caleb.
Thank you. I have one more thing about changing, and it's minor. I was wondering if I might be able to put stepping stones in that front lawn. There used to be a sidewalk from the parking lot to the return bin, and we're glad it's gone. But I was talking with Hank Lambert and the beautification committee about prettying up that area, and we were saying, since people kind of walk there anyway, we could put stepping stones and kind of, instead of having that just garden plot in the center, we would plant things around the stepping stones a little more artfully than it is now. I was wondering if you'd be okay.
I guess the only thing I would say is, one, make sure they're safe, that no one's going to trip and fall on if we're using those for people to walk on.
Mm-hmm.
And two, make sure it doesn't make any more work to the lawn guy mow the lawn.
Yeah, we have to be definitely
be less do better.
Flush.
Yeah.
I can get you more specifics and come back to you on that if you want.
No, that's fine. I just want to tell you those two things. So.
Okay. Absolutely.
Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you,
Caleb.
Bye-bye.
Just one thing from us. Thank the library again for participating in the Memorial Day Parade. That was a nice little addition you guys did. It was nice to see, so thank you.
Oh yeah, that was fun. And Abby put a lot of work into that.
Yeah, she made me chuckle the whole way. She walked in front of me the whole way. I don't know where you're getting your energy from, but I'm getting tired of watching it.
Thank you very much. It was fun. We enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Good night.
Discuss flags for the veterans, additional sponsorship. First, I just want to say thank you to everybody that came to help Saturday put the flags up. It was great. And we're taking them down again next Saturday. So if anyone's looking to help take them down, it'd be great.
They got a good system right now.
Yeah, we got it figured out.
But they're for them power tools.
Yeah, exactly, and I did find some, I looked up when I got home, I found some bits on Amazon, 18 inch and a quarter that were.
So next year we'll be in good shape.
This fall, November.
There you go.
So the question was, whether we want to add more flags or not. I know it creates more work. I spoke to a couple veterans that were there on Saturday, and one of them said to me, how can you say no when someone asks you to put up a flag for a veteran?
Yeah, and so far,
Gonna hit home when he said that.
on their own volition, I've had 10 people call and say they'd like to purchase a flag who haven't already done it.
Yeah.
And I did the research on the flags this year. And you have to get up to about 40 to get the discount. If you go below that, way below that, you're paying top dollar for each flag. So with 40, if we ordered 40 more and put 20 on each side of the current formation, like a T, the cost, we could offer them for $60 as sponsorship instead of the 50, because the price has gone up since last year. And people are eager to get them. They're calling and emailing and asking if we can offer them.
What's that?
Not to interrupt the conversation, that I think maybe Roy Rhoda is with us because she would like to sponsor 2 flags. She noted.
Yeah, she's one of the people that has contacted me, and both of the people she wants to sponsor are Swanton natives, and it would be the second female veteran also that.
I'll let her speak if she'd like to.
Rhoda, go ahead.
I think you're still muted.
You're muted.
No, she's not muted, we just can't hear.
Can't hear you.
She's not on mute. She's not muted.
Her microphone off, maybe?
Do you have, can you
hear us?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Oh,
there we go.
There we go.
We're good now.
Wrote about Worth Collins, and my dad lived in Swanton for over 80 years, and he served in World War II from 1942 until the end of the war. And I heard that you might consider maybe 40 more flags. I didn't know if they had all been accounted for, and I just wanted to request if I could sponsor a flag for my dad, Truman, at Bosworth. And then it also occurred to me, I would like to sponsor a flag for Mary Babcock, who served as a wave in the Navy. She was stateside, but she was a machinist and served in Tennessee and Texas. And if it's not allowed for one person to sponsor, to have 2 flags, I'm sure somebody else would sponsor Mary Babcock.
I don't see any issue with that. No.
Excellent.
No, absolutely.
I sent, what did I just do? The hard copy to the town administrator from the World War II Memorial Registry, where I'll do this.
Okay. Nice. We got both of them. Good. Thank you.
And then Mary.
Yep. Very nice.
She looks much different than I
I put the picture up. She was up there without a picture. And I contacted her niece. Her niece was nice enough to send me the picture that I could put on the registry.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah.
Rhoda, is that the Mary Babcock that the elementary school is named after?
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
I made a motion that we purchase 40 more flags at that cost of selling at the $60 per piece.
I second that motion, for sure.
I know we were hesitant sometime a year ago to continue the selling, but I think we've become much more efficient and
I think so too. I think
volunteers help
we've
us.
got time enough now to work on the song and get the thing. And
if you create that kind of a T, you could have 4 rows of 5 each in a row on one side and the same on the other. That'll easily fit into the space that's still there.
Yeah. Exactly. All right.
Motion's been made and seconded.
I will just say, as under the discussion, that we'll have anybody that wants to purchase flag, contact David. And then David will take a list of the names and numbers and, that way, if they all just contact you instead of other people, they'll just, no confusion.
Yeah, that's exactly what what I wanna know. You probably, do you have a list now of people requesting? So those would have to go first.
Yeah.
So you could tell them that, yes, you're gonna have your flag, and then you have to open up the rest of it to the public.
Yeah.
And yes, it should go through David, but there should be some kind of notice put out there that this is now available.
Yeah, I'll send a letter to the editor and also put it on the website, and also update the order form that we have for that.
Yeah,
they're gonna go fast.
And if you share that with me, I can put it on social media.
And it's first come, first serve, and they need to contact David, and David will take them as in the order they come in, and, you know, I'm sure there'll probably be more than 40 people, but now we've gone from 110 to 150, so, and maybe down the road, if it works out well, we can expand again sometime. I don't know. We'll see. No promises on that, but it does take a lot of work to put them up, take them down, but
But it is such a beautiful display.
You know,
And it's gone viral.
what the veteran said to me, he said, there's no reason why I can't fill the whole park. I'm like, it's gonna take us 2 days to put it up and down. Yeah. Yes, we need a vote. All in favor?
That I can be added to the waiting list, is that?
Absolutely.
You already are on the list, Rhoda. You already are on the list.
You're on the list.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
For both of them.
For both.
I didn't know how big the waiting list was, if you had like 60 people already on the waiting list.
Nah, there's 10 or 15, I think, right now. Okay, thank you. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Good.
And so we would get notice, for how to arrange the payment and so on?
Yep, David will get a hold of you.
I will update the order form and then email you a copy.
Yeah.
Ah.
Your name's on the list, you're good for 2, so.
For 2?
For 2. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Economic development.
You're gonna love me.
Oh, boy. You know?
No, because I haven't worked since the last time we met last Tuesday.
True, yeah, good.
So, no, I'm just working on the Marble Mill grant, is the main thing, and a couple other things that are just, but no.
Marble Mill's got some work going on there now.
village is
Somebody's been
working
cleaning that up,
doing
yeah, that's
something.
definitely a major improvement. It
Yeah.
makes that area look a lot better.
They brought our excavator for a couple days down there to clean up some stuff.
Yeah.
The woods and, so.
Good.
Yeah, maybe they can do some kind of stone murals up there with pictures on it, and painted on there.
We got a master plan, and slowly,
Yeah,
little steps,
yeah.
pun intended.
How you making out with the ribs?
We are waiting, there's the fiscal year for the state starts July 1st.
Yeah.
And they got money in the budget, so we are on the list to get some funds to do the Brownfield cleanup. So we should see some movement. I know Neil, as you noticed, has done some clearing on his own, but we're looking to start some cleanup after July 1. I did ask him, and I know this is public, but I did ask him to remove the Happy Holiday sign.
Oh.
Few years to get up there.
No more happy holiday.
No more Happy Holidays.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so,
Oh, good. Hopefully they clean it up before it falls down,
yeah, or not.
or something else.
Yeah.
Maybe easier to let it fall.
Yeah.
Well, and somebody did raise the point, if we go in and have somebody do cleanup, is it safe for somebody to go in?
We'll have to determine that.
So we'll have to figure that out. But,
Yeah. Anything else? That's it? All right.
Highway Department.
Highway. Oh, boy.
James.
Yeah, I know.
That was James showing tonight.
I know, I don't really have a lot. We're replacing the culvert tomorrow out on Lakewood Drive, the one I talked about before, we've had issues with for years. That'll be replaced, and that'll be the end of that, put to bed, so. Your name come up in that discussion, Earl.
What'd I have to do with it?
When you were on the board before, I guess you were involved with this culvert mess.
Oh.
And I said, well, I'm putting it to bed, so.
You're putting the culvert in?
You were putting the culvert in the road.
You make them pay for it?
It's our culvert. Just going across the road, so, yeah.
That's all you got, James?
That's all I got. The guys that mowed last week, they've made one around mowing, now they'll go back around and make their second cut.
I see
clean
how
up what they
I should
can
be
get.
able to drive and back
Yep.
down the road.
just to throw out to
Yeah.
the town and Pat, for
Mhm.
throwing the truck in the parade as well.
Absolutely.
That was nice to see.
They did a nice
Very
job.
Yeah, Pat and his
Looked
wife took
nice.
some time to clean the truck up, and
Yep.
I went up Saturday and saw him for a minute.
Very nice.
Yeah, no.
I thanked them also.
Yep, absolutely. Anything else under the highway? I can't think of anything. Any other necessary business?
Well, I just got one thing, I actually do go on that computer once in a while and look at stuff. Communication Committee.
Yes.
Well, they sent out a survey.
They still are doing the survey, they're still collecting
Oh, I
data.
filled it out.
Well, thank you.
Okay. Why couldn't we put them in charge of doing this Facebook stuff?
Well, they were talking about they had one, or getting ready to do one, correct?
Well, at least get them involved with it. I mean, if we wanna put together a Facebook page like we were talking about, that put out what was going on in the town between the library, recreation, blah, 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 blah. Somebody's gotta be in charge of that, setting it up, and then after that,
It
somebody's
is,
gonna.
it is set up.
It is?
It is, it is going. And anybody who has information they wanna share on it, please share with me and I will post it. I'm doing the best
Yeah,
that
but
I can.
does the library know to give you the stuff? Does everybody, all the organizations in the town know that it's gonna go to you?
I manage 3/4 of the organizations in town social media anyways, so I
Okay.
share. one person.
Because, I mean, it's not something I'll never see, but,
Come on.
Should go on, Earl.
but, I mean, I think from today's perspective, for, you know, even though it's the worst thing that ever happened, people are doing that.
Yep, and I'm out there sharing information.
In fact, they can't even live if they don't do that. I could go on all night about that, but let's get going.
Sounds good to me.
Facebook is up and running. I am working with the communications committee to try and find better avenues to
Okay.
communicate with everybody.
David, you wanna add something?
Yeah, we had a request come in from some of the residents in the housing back here. They want to use the town lawn that's behind our parking lot for cookouts because Champlain Housing won't let them use their lawn.
No.
And I don't think it's a
I
good
didn't think
idea
it was a good
because
idea either, Dave. That's-
No.
You still got the
They can't
liability.
use the grill on their property over there, so they want the grill on our property and have an event on our property.
How would that be any different if they were going to the town, well, it's the
park.
village beach
Yeah.
or the park or anywhere else to grill?
No, I don't see a problem with that. I mean, you know, if they wanna, I don't understand why Champlain Valley has that as an issue,
Yeah.
but
I think
I ain't got no
that's-
problem with them grilling out here. I don't see what they're
I
gonna
don't,
hurt.
if there's no vehicles, and if there's a mess, then we stop it.
Yeah,
That's a good point. Yeah.
I mean,
If they can go sit in the park and do a grill, what would be the
Yeah.
difference of being outside the building, that just me.
And the seniors there are very limited on what they can do and they're looking for avenues to recreate.
I
That's
guess
something
my
that I'm
question
working
would be,
with.
so are they gonna leave a gas grill sitting on our property to use it? Is that, I guess that's
It's a
what
stipulation
we
that-
need to know that.
Everything must be cleaned and removed immediately thereafter. And if we see the mess, then put a stop to it.
who's the contact person from Champlain Valley Housing?
Pam Hunt.
Yep. Who's that, what that name for?
I'd certainly like to know why they don't allow that.
Yeah.
I mean, they may very well have a legitimate reason, but I mean, it seems odd that they can't grill out in the parking lot.
I think because they manage so many different properties that it's just across the board, they can't, it's one of the things that they don't allow on their
Because I see
properties.
them, I don't know if they do it during the week, I know weekends on Saturday when I'm doing the pond, I can look up between the buildings, usually sitting here in these
Yeah.
two chairs.
Yeah.
I say, look, give them the opportunity, why not? We'll go from there, if that's okay.
Well,
I guess,
I
yeah.
I assume at some point in time, most of them people were taxpayers in Swan.
No, yeah.
I agree.
I mean, I guess allow them, and I don't want it to turn into a community picnic area on back, you know what I'm saying, but, yeah.
I mean, who are we gonna contact to say that it's okay?
So a lady left her name with
Right here.
Tanya, I have the number.
So I guess what James was saying, all right, there may be, you wanna just say, well, we don't want, you know, you can't leave your grill over,
Right.
overnight.
You can use it.
I mean, anything else that we should put in there? I mean, I think most of those people are responsible
I
enough
think
to come
that's
through.
the thing,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, as long as they're not leaving nothing there,
Give it
just
up.
using the space and
Yeah.
try it.
Nothing overnight.
Community friendly.
Yep.
Don't worry, camping.
Well, you know, maybe they might be there all afternoon partying, you know, some of them older people, they really.
They might invite you out, you know?
Yeah. Maybe they'll invite the town clerk.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Anything else, David? Correspondence, anything? No. No? All right, public comment. Any other public comment? It's pretty quiet.
The only other thing, I want to bring up, James.
Yeah.
I don't know if Mark, you've been following up, you guys. I've had a couple people, reach out to me yesterday, and they'd love to see the Swanton Festival come back.
A lot of work. I don't know if they.
Well, and I'm fully aware
Yeah.
of, you know, why that stopped. And, this lady contacted me today, and she would like to put a committee together and see if it's a possibility that we could bring the Swanton Festival back to Swanton.
I thought there was a committee.
I know there was a start prior to the Arts Council doing the Arts Spectacular.
Yeah.
Then it folded into that. Certainly, I mean,
Have you had anybody approach you, Nicole, on that?
About the festival,
Yeah, bringing it back to Swanton.
I mean, I've heard it from lots of community members. I believe somebody came to us at a chamber meeting once to discuss it. Most recently, just the conversation you were having with the woman today, I was following it. I mean, I'm happy to be a part of the conversation. I don't know.
She indicated that she's gonna get in touch with the Commerce.
I think that would probably be the best is to get in contact with them, at least get some of the info and the details of what it took to do it.
Yep.
Because of the insurances that you have.
Oh, and I know.
And you're gonna have a sponsor for it.
Yep.
I mean, it's just, whether they're doing it to make money, which there wasn't a lot to be made, to tell you the truth. We were doing more of the car show in 6 hours than that thing was doing in 4 days. So whether they're just doing it for a who knows what? Boy, maybe not a bad thing, but.
No,
it's a lot of work.
the only thing is, and I remember well, and I'm sure everybody in this room remembers well, it brought
So many.
it brought a lot of people to Swanton, and this is what we're trying to do,
Right.
is we're trying to get people to come to Swanton and enjoy, the village and the town. And, I mean, my wife and I were talking about it last night, and I would do anything in my power to see it happen. But I do realize, you know, it's because it's the problem with it, which these people that are reaching out, yeah, we'd like to see it.
Sounds good.
But they don't realize the work. And you know, in my tenure over the years, you know, I was exalted ruler at the Elks Lodge, and I was governor at the Moose Lodge, and you got a handful of people
It's always
that
that
are
way.
always doing everything. And after a while, these people get tired.
Well, and then I think that's the case with the Arts Spectacular this year, is they couldn't find anybody, you know, to volunteer to step up to take the lead on that, because everybody is put in their volunteer time this year.
So just like,
And so, I mean, really, if it's something that community members are interested in having come back, we need a lot of community engagement to make it so.
I agree with you 110%.
And just, I guess, I would be willing to assist. And if I think if we have a community member who's interested in seeing if she can get a committee together, I would absolutely support her in that effort, as long as she's willing to, you know, to put in that effort and understands it's a lot of work, you know.
I'll reach back out to her, not this evening, but tomorrow.
Feel free to include me on the conversation. I have some contacts and I'm
I
willing
appreciate that.
to share information the best that I know, so.
Good.
but I think the chamber is probably the best avenue for the most of it.
Yeah, and she'd already mentioned that she was gonna do that, so that she's headed in the right direction.
Well,
Good.
you got a good bit of us sitting right here.
Anything else, Ed?
No, that's all I got,
All good
James.
for public comment?
Thank you.
Upcoming events, flag for the veteran display, which we know we put up on May 29th. We'll be taking them down on June 5th. If you're willing to help take them down, that would be greatly appreciated. 9 o'clock at the Village Park. Next select board meeting is June 15th at 7 p.m. public by Zoom. Planning Commission meeting is Wednesday, June 16th, 6 p.m. by Zoom
Excuse me.
for the public.
There is a correction there. We are a week early this year. I guess we didn't let David know. It is June 9th.
For what?
Planning commission.
Planning is June 9th, okay.
Yes.
Correction, planning is June 9th, 6 PM by Zoom. First day of summer, Sunday, June 20th, we're gaining.
Already?
Yeah.
Well, actually, we're losing a minute, 2 minutes and some odd seconds every day.
Yeah, we're going the other way after that. We're not gaining anymore, we're going downhill.
The next,
Oh, yeah, we're gonna look at
the
it.
next ERB meeting is Thursday, June 24th, 6 PM, public by Zoom. I need a motion to go in executive session for personnel.
I move that we enter into executive session for the select board to receive confidential contract and personal information for which the premature disclosure of this to the general public would clearly place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage.
I will second that motion.
Alright, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye. I move that based on our just made findings that premature disclosure would place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage, we enter executive session.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, now executive session.